What?
In your video.
Oh
I'm
no.
looking at the manual,
Yeah?
and on the very last page, Canon was like calling their shot. This is a lens for shooting movies.
You heard it here first. This is a lens for shooting movies. Don't you dare try to rent this unless you're making films. This rig right behind me is one that we've been dreaming of building for a while. And you might think that the star is the red Komodo on the back, but in reality, the star is this guy right here, the Canon Servo 50 to 1000 millimeter lens. This build took some finagling and we wanted to bring you behind the scenes to our process of how we built it out. I was joined by Ryan in the studio who helped me build this, and we're really excited to show you how we made this rig happen. My name's Andrew, welcome to the Lens Realms channel, and let's dive in. The very first thing that we needed to consider when building out this rig is simply the height difference that happens with the lens and camera. Looking here at the lens, you can see that the front element is very wide, and as it tapers down to meet the mount, there is a significant height difference. And if we were not to use anything to elevate the camera, then we would have a sloping issue where the lens would be higher and the camera body would be sitting lower, which could create tension at this very fragile mounting connection. Ryan and I played with a few different options, but what we landed on was simply using the wooden camera cage for the red Komodo plus a studio riser to help out with the height difference. All right, so we are now mounting this dovetail to the tripod plate.
Rather than mounting this in the middle, I'm going to mount it here toward the front so it can slide back a little further and so we're not sliding around.
With Ryan positioning the base plate to be further back, as you can see, we are offsetting that weight and that difference by having the lightest part be further back on the tripod with the heavier bits, and really the main center of gravity being directly over the tripod. Another thing to note about this setup is that with the studio riser, we had 19 millimeter rod availability, and the wooden camera mount had 15 millimeter rods. Now, we were making jokes that if anyone real in the industry saw us using two different rod sizes, they'd shun us. But luckily, we didn't have to use the 15 millimeter rods, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. Once all of our camera rigging was done, it came time to figure out how to mount and have this lens be supported properly. Now, one thing to note is that we did have to use a PL adapter mount for this red, which pushed the lens even further out, but that's not really a big deal. We're cool with that. So first things first is we made sure we attached that adapter and then got the wooden lens supports set up on the rails. This wooden support is simply to help elevate the lens so that it doesn't sag as it's hanging off of your mount. Because again, you don't want to do damage there. You don't want it to snap. If anything is going to happen, it's going to happen here first, unless you drop it, which if we drop this, my soul would leave my body. Once we got everything set and mounted on here, I needed to go ahead and add this top handle, which will allow us to be able to remove this easily. We can easily slide anything off at any position that we want, and when we do so, we will simply grab it by the top handle here to give it the most support possible. This is a heavy rig, and this is a rig that we do not want to mess around with, and so when we are transporting it, we want as many points of contact as possible. Once we connected the lens to the PL mount adapter as well as the wooden lens support, we wanted to go ahead and get batteries set up. And now this is where I said we were thinking about having to utilize 15 millimeter rods. There are three main areas that we need to power, and that is the camera, the monitor, as well as the servo lens. And the best way we know how to do that is with gold mount power. We had originally thought that we were going to need to use 15 millimeter rods to mount our battery plate, but we found something pretty awesome. The Anton Bauer wooden camera mount for the red Komodo actually just has a little slot right here that slides right into the back of your battery pack, either one side or the left or right side of your battery. And now we're going to be able just to go straight in and have it hang off the back of the camera. Another key element to this rig here was our small HD monitor. Because of this top handle rendering the LCD on the Komodo obsolete, we needed to make sure that we had a monitor with camera control. This will allow us to control all of the camera from the monitor directly. We use a bright tangerine friction arm attached to the top handle. We ran an SDI cable from the monitor into the camera, as well as another cable to control the camera itself. We were good to go. The very last thing on our list to do was to apply the matte box. Now we are using the wooden camera UMB-1. This allows us to insert 3 different sheets of diffusion on the front of this lens. This support system right here is simply for the matte box. It alleviates any extra weight that the matte box might put on the front of the lens. And instead of using a hard plastic collar, we went ahead and used this fabric cloth right here to connect the back of the matte box to the front of the lens. So at this point, you're probably thinking that we're done building out the rig, but there is one last little bit of detail that we needed to pay attention to. And this was really just making sure everything was properly balanced. For all my friends out there who hate balancing gimbals, if you didn't know, you should be balancing your large rigs like this. And the reason that we do this is to establish a level and secure attachment to our tripod. Because the last thing we want to do is loosen up our tripod and have our rig fall forwards, backwards, or to spin out of control. We want to make sure everything is level and secure. So there you have it. Thanks so much for hanging out with us as we built this dream rig. We've wanted to do this for a long time simply because this lens has amazing history and is meant for making films. The beautiful thing about this rig is the simplicity. Truly, we've built far more complicated rigs, but the strategy behind making sure everything worked together was a good challenge. It was very fun. And that's what makes this a dream rig. So I want to say thank you again for hanging out with us. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what other dream rigs you want us to build. Put them down below. Lay out everything you want to see, and we'll see if we can build it. All right, until the next one. Peace.